How does this image make you feel? It's a picture of a dog with a smile too big for its head, with teeth too big for its mouth, eyes that pierce through the darkness, and a hand reaching out on the left side of the still photo. This is smile.JPEG, or Smile Dog. The Smile Dog actually originated back in 2010 on a very popular website called creepypasta.com. Yes, Smile Dog is just a creepypasta. There's nothing real about smile.jpg or smile.dog. It's all a work of fiction, and might I add that I read the entire thing about 6 to 8 times tonight because I had to narrate it for this video, and it's not that well written. But before we get into the actual history of smile.jpg and what it originated from and the history and the stories surrounding it, let me introduce myself. My name is Spooky, and I talk about some of the darkest places on the internet and also just general horror things on the internet or in real life. I love horror. I love talking about horror. And if you're here, you love listening to horror. So if you feel ever so inclined, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, also that notification bell to get notified every time I upload, which I aim for at least once a week. But my streak has been bad these past couple of months. I'm sorry, but we're trying to get better. I'm aware that my camera is very bad. I have a camera here, but it's very old and I can't use it. So we're stuck with a webcam here until I get a new camera. So we're going to have to just deal with it. And also don't forget that down in the description below, there is a donation link to a foundation called Eco Defense Group that helps anti-poaching out in Africa, and it is stationed out in Colorado, I believe. Down in the description below, you can find their donation link as well as their website link if you want to go check them out. I highly suggest donating to them. Their cause is amazing. And also, let's get into today's sponsor, Nobody. I sponsored myself doing this. I have COVID right now, so I have to stay home. So I figured, why not do this video? If y'all didn't know, I love creepypastas to the point where I have been listening to them every night before I go to bed since senior year of high school. I'll fucking prove it to you. Look at this shit. This is one of my personal favorites. His name is the Dark Somnium, and I have listened to every one of his stories that he has ever put out. I also listen to a lot of Mr. Creeps, Mr. CreepyPasta. Dr. Creepin is also really good. I have been listening to creepypastas for a long time, so I'm very well versed in what Smile Dog is and also all the other creepypastas, all the OGs. Like I said, this one was created back in 2010. And if you know anything about this channel, I like to get into the nitty gritty of what I'm researching for. So in terms of Smile Dog, I'm going to take it all the way back and narrate the entire creepypasta for you. For somebody that's been listening to creepypastas every day since senior year of high school, like I listened to it to go to bed, either that or SCPs, it was amazing to actually go down and put my passion into stories that I love. And I put my heart and soul into this shit, so yeah. So you're going to listen to the entirety of the creepypasta now. Don't worry, I tried not to like read it really monotone. I actually tried to picture myself as the person who was writing it and put my emotions into it, you know. But if you don't want to hear it, here is a time code for afterwards. And after that, we're going to go into the history of what it was when it was originally made, where the image actually came from, and then we're going to go into some real life cases of it. Because, you know, Smile Dog is a very old trend, like before the internet. But enough about that. Let's get into the narration of the Smile Dog creepypasta. Like I said, I tried really hard on this, and I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I'll see you after the story. I first met in person with Mary E. in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terrence, to see her for an interview. Mary had agreed initially, since I was not a newsman but rather an amateur writer gathering information for a few early college assignments and, if it went according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business, but at the last moment, Mary changed her mind. She locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet with me, and for half an hour I sat with Terrence as we camped outside the bedroom door. I listened and took notes while he attempted to fruitlessly calm his wife. The things Mary said made little sense but fit with the pattern I was expecting. Though I couldn't see her, I could tell from her voice that she was crying, and more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around the incoherent diatribe of her dreams. Her nightmares. Terrence apologized profusely when we ceased the exercise, and I did my best to take it in stride. Recall that I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources to it. Mary was a systems operator for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992, and that's where she first encountered smile.JPG. She and Terrence had only been married about 5 months, and Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image when it was posted as a hyperlink on the bulletin board system. Though she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience, the rest have remained anonymous, or perhaps died. In 2005, when I was only in 10th grade, smile.jpg was first brought to my attention because of my interest in web-based phenomena. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred to as smile dog. What really caught my interest was the sheer lack of information, usually to the point where people don't believe that it even exists other than as a rumor or a hoax. This case is unique because the entire phenomena centers on a picture file, and yet that picture file is nowhere to be found on the internet. I mean, sure, there's a bunch of smile.jpg across the internet littered around image boards on 4chan, but it's suspected that these are fakes because they don't have the effect that the true smile.jpg is believed to have, namely the sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom-like smile.jpg is regarded with such disdain. And depending who you ask on the internet, many are reluctant to acknowledge the existence of smile.jpg out of fear or disbelief. Neither smile.jpg nor smiledog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia, even though the website features things such as bestgore.com or 2girls1cup, and any attempt to create a page pertaining to smile.jpg is summarily deleted by any of the encyclopedia's many admins. Encounters with the smile.jpg are the stuff of internet legend. Mary E's story is not unique. There are unverifiable rumors of smile.jpg showing up on the early days of the internet, and even one persistent tale that in 2002 a hacker flooded the forums of humor and satire websites with a deluge of smile dog pictures, rendering almost half of the forum's users at the time epileptic. It's also said that in the mid to late 90s that smile.jpg circulated on the internet as an attachment of a chain email with the subject line, "Smile, God loves you." Yet despite the huge exposure these stunts would have generated, there are very few people who admit to having experienced any of them, and there are no traces of the attachment at all. Those who claim to have seen smile.jpg often weakly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture to their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offer the same description of the photo. A dog-like creature, usually a Siberian husky, illuminated by the flash of a camera, sitting in a dim room, and the only background detail that is visible is a human hand extending from the darkness on the right side of the frame. The hand is empty, but it's usually described as beckoning. Of course, most attention is given to the dog. The muzzle of the beast is split in a wide grin, revealing 2 rows of very white, very straight, very sharp, and very human-looking teeth. This is, of course, not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims who claim to have seen the picture endlessly repeat through their mind's eye during the time that they are, in reality, having epileptic fits. These fits are reported to continue indeterminably, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and very disturbing nightmares. And these may be treated with medication, though it's more effective in some than others. Mary E, I assumed, was not on effective medication. That's why after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folk and urban legend-oriented news groups, websites, and mailing lists. hoping to find the name of a supposed victim of smile.JPG who felt more interested in talking about his experiences. For a time, nothing happened, and at length I completely forgot about my pursuits because I had just begun my freshman year of college and I was quite busy. But in the beginning of March 2008, Mary E. contacted me via email. From marye@blank.net. Subject: last summer's interview. Dear Mr. L, I am incredibly sorry about my behavior last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you understand that it was no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realized that I could have handled the situation a little better. However, I hope you will forgive me. At the time, I was afraid. You see, for 15 years, I have been haunted by smile.jpg. Smile Dog comes to me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. There is an extreme quality about my dreams, my nightmares, that make them completely unlike any dreams I've ever had. I do not move and I do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that horrible picture. I see the beckoning hand, and I see Smile Dog. It talks to me. It's not a dog. I'm not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone if I only do as it asks. All I must do, it says, is spread the word. That's how it phrases its demands, and I know exactly what it means. It wants me to show it to someone else. The week after my incident, I received in the mail a manila envelope with no return address. Inside was only a 3.5-inch floppy disk. Without having to check, I knew exactly what it was, and I had thought for a long time about my options. I could show it to a stranger, a coworker, and I could even show it to Terrence as much as the idea disgusted me, but what would happen then? If Smile Dog kept its word, I could sleep, but if it lied, what would I do? And who was to say that something worse would not come for me if I did as the creature asked? So, I did nothing. For 15 years. I kept the disc hidden amongst my things, and every night for 15 years, Smile Dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word. For 15 years, I have stood strong, though there have been hard times. Many of my fellow victims on the BBS board, when I first encountered smile.jpg, stopped posting. I heard some of them had committed suicide. Others remained completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the web, and honestly, those are the ones I worry about the most. I sincerely hope you will forgive me, Mr. L, but last summer, when you contacted me and my husband about an interview, I was nearing the breaking point. I decided I was going to give you the floppy disk. I didn't care if Smile Dog was lying or not. I wanted it to end. You were a stranger, someone I had no connection with, and I thought I would feel no sorrow when you took the disk as part of your research and sealed your fate. But before you arrived, I realized what I was doing. I was plotting to ruin your life, and I couldn't stand the thought. I'm ashamed, Mr. L, and I hope that this warning will dissuade you from further investigating smile.jpg. You may in time encounter someone who is, if not weaker than I, then wholly more depraved, someone who will not hesitate to follow Smile Dog's orders. Stop while you're still whole. Sincerely, Mary E. Terrence contacted me later that month with the news that his wife had killed herself. While cleaning up various things she'd left behind, closing email accounts and such, he happened upon the above message. He was a man in shambles. He wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He'd found the disc and he burned it until it was nothing more than a stinking pile of blackened plastic. The part that disturbed him, however, was how the disc hissed as it melted. Like some sort of animal, he said. I'll be the first to admit that I was a little uncertain how to respond to this. At first I thought it was a joke, with the couple playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago newspapers and online obituaries proved that Mary E. was indeed dead. There was, of course, no mention of suicide in the article, and I decided that, for the time at least, I would no longer pursue any subject of smile.JPG, especially because I had finals coming up at the end of May, but the world has odd ways of testing us. Almost a full year after I'd returned from my disastrous interview with Mary E., I received another email from Elsa HIR82 at blank.com. Subject: smile. Hello. I found your email address through a mailing list, and your profile said you're interested in Smile Dog. I have seen it, and I have it, and it's not as bad as everyone says. I've sent it to you here. Just spreading the word. That final line chilled me to the bone. According to my email client, there was one file attachment called, naturally, smile.jpg. I considered downloading it for some time. It was most likely a fake, I imagine, and even if it weren't, I was never wholly convinced of smile.jpg's peculiar powers. Mary E's account had shaken me, yeah, but she was probably mentally unbalanced. After all, how could a simple image do what smile.jpg was said to accomplish? What sort of creature was it that could break one's mind with only the power of the eye? And if such things were patently absurd, then why did the legend exist at all? If I downloaded the image, if I looked at it and Mary turned out to be correct, if Smile Dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? Would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give in until I died? Or would I simply spread the word, eager to be put to rest? And if I choose the latter route, how could I do it? Whom would I burden in turn? So I decided that even if I went through with my earlier intention to write a short article about smile.jpg, I could attach the photo as evidence. And anyone who read the article, anyone who took interest would be affected, and even assuming smile.jpg attached to the email was genuine, would I be capricious enough to save myself in that manner? Could I spread the word and obey the orders of the Smile Dog? Yes. Yes, I could. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I tried really hard. And I'm going to set aside 60 seconds to rant about the story, because what you heard, what I narrated, is not the original story word for word. Let me explain. Okay, this person who wrote this story, and Michael Lutz is apparently the dude responsible for Smile Dog. I'm not sure if that's the person who wrote the story or if it's the person that came up with the images. We'll get into that a little later. But whoever wrote this fucking story is trying way too goddamn hard to sound a little smart. He's putting big words where they should not be. And he's like compounding these words. English, I don't speak English very well. It's like my second or first and a half language, okay? I don't speak English well. But listen to this. I'm going to read this word for word, and you tell me if this makes any fucking sense, okay? It is unique because though the entire phenomenon centers on a picture file, that file is nowhere to be found on the internet, okay? Certainly, many photo-manipulated simulacra, he put in a fucking abbreviation. Like, why? Certainly, many photo-manipulated simulacra litter the web. Okay, why did you say that? Okay, let's go on to another example, and then I'll stop. I feel like when he was writing the story, he had a fucking fedora on. He was like, "M'lady." I hate people like that, dude. Oh my god, dude. Just dumb it down so that people that are stupid like me can read it without trouble. I had to go through the store with a fucking dictionary. It's crazy. It's crazy. Why? Why would you do this to me? The purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom-like smile.jpg is regarded as such disdain, since it is patently absurd through or though depending on whom you ask, the reluctance to acknowledge the smile.jpeg's existence might be just as much out of fear as it is out of disbelief. What the fuck? There's no commas in there. Zero. What does any of that mean? That's mumbo jumbo mixed together. So that story, I had to go through with a fucking dictionary and then restructure sentences and paragraphs and put commas and take out commas. It's horrible. The story itself is written terribly, but the premise of the story and a good scare is there. So I appreciate whoever came up with this story. You are literally, you made a living internet legend, but I hate you at the same time. Anyway, we're moving on. So if you didn't listen to the entire story, you weren't paying attention, or you just skipped to this part because you hate me, let me go ahead and summarize exactly what Smile Dog is. So basically what it is like a chain email text message thing. If you aren't aware, if you didn't grow up in the era of pre-iPhone or even pre-smartphone at all, we did this thing back in the day where we would email each other back and forth, or like people would email each other. It could be even strangers because it was just so superstitious at the time. And we would pretend like emails were cursed. And it was like, okay, it tells this random story of, like, for example, a woman who drowned. All right, that's going to be the premise of this example that I'm using. A woman who drowned. You tell the story of the woman who drowned. You say that she's coming back for revenge against everybody because no one loved her. And then at the very end, you're going to be like, you have to send this to 3 different people, or the woman is going to come out and get you. She's going to come out and get you. And that was our chain mail thing. That's what a chain mail is that it's like you send an email and they pay it forward to 3 other people and 3 other people and 3 other people. And that's what this is. That's basically what the story is about. It was, like I said, written, and I can give you an exact date here. It was written in April 28th, 2010. That was when Smile Dog was originally made, and that measures up to about the time when chain mail or chain emails or whatever were officially kind of dying down. So this is like the last big hoorah of chain emails, chain text messages, stuff like that. I remember that I got one specifically, like a text message from a random number. It was literally a random ass number, and it was like blah 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 blah. This bitch is dead and crying, and if you don't send this to 10 people, she's gonna be in your room at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, cool, I'll fucking see this bitch at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know who you think. I don't know 10 people. What the fuck? Anyway, I got off on a tangent there. Let's move on. So yeah, that's basically what the Smile Dog CreepyPasta is really hinging on. It's hinging on the fact of chain email, chain link, things like that. That's really where this comes from. It's telling the story of a true email type of file that is cursed, and if you don't send it to another person, then you have the curse. It's similar to The Ring. In terms of, like, The Ring had their video, and if you copy the original film and then you show it to someone else, that curse is passed along to them. It's similar in that way. There's a bunch of different horror movie tropes and horror tropes and that were really taken from other things and put into Smile Dog. For example, like the chain email, like I said, The Ring, things like that. It's basically taking a curse and giving it to someone else. I could have literally said that 5 minutes ago, but I didn't. So now you listen to me rant for 5 minutes. All for me to say what it actually is you're taking a curse and you're giving it to someone else. But in this case, in this curse, it's not the Smile Dog's going to appear in your room and kill you. It's as soon as you view the smiling dog, you become stricken with, I think it was acute anxiety and epileptic seizures, which is fucking crazy. Let me just say that. On top of that, you have the smiling dog that visits you every single night. And he basically says, hey, I won't stop until you pass the word on, you spread the word. And I don't know if you realized, like, halfway through the story how, what's her name? The first woman. God, what's her? I'm so bad. So Mary E said that she had a bunch of coworkers because she was one in, what, 400 people that saw the original image. And a lot of them either committed suicide or a lot of them just disappeared off the face of the planet. So that is an immediate red flag saying that the smile dog will not stop once you pass it on. It's not like The Grudge, or not The Grudge, The Ring. The Grudge is amazing. It's an amazing movie too. But The Ring, where if you copy the thing and you show it to someone else, like the curse is passed on to them. Or like in the emails, like, okay, like if I send this to 3 people, this bitch won't be in my room at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like it's very subtle. It's a very subtle little detail there. But if you catch it, the smile dog doesn't stop. There was never an example of somebody that was a victim of the smile dog and it comes out later. Everyone that was associated with the smile dog has either killed themselves or stepped away from the internet completely. And now that I think about it, the only person that's actually kind of sane is the second person that sends him the email, which gives him the smile dog. So I'm not sure what happens to them. That's not a part of the story. But from the information that we can gather from the original creepypasta, you cannot escape the smile dog. So part of the reason why I think this creepypasta did so well and is probably the most prominent use of chainmail, I'm going to call it chainmail because I know that it's a suit of armor, but it's also what this is. So this is probably the most prominent use of chainmail out there because of its use of the photo and the photo's relation to the uncanny valley. If you're not aware of what the uncanny valley is, I did a video a couple months back on it, and I feel like I did a pretty fucking good job at it. So if you want an explanation, I'm going to try and put a card up here. I've never done that before, but there's a card right there, and there's also in the recommended videos at the end of the video if you want to check that out as well. But there's a lot of different variations of the story of Smile Dog that aren't really canon, and we're not even going to know if it is canon because this story was written anonymously up until this year 2023, because apparently we found the creator of Smile Dog and his name is Michael Lutz. Don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it says on villains.fandom.com/wiki/smiledog. So more information for you. But there are a lot of different iterations of the story in which Smile Dog, if you resist him for a long time, he manifests into the real world and he kills you painfully and then he drags you back to hell with him. But I can already tell you that that's not canon at all, unless it's more than 15 years, because like the story said, the original story, Mary E stayed vigilant and strong for 15 years after viewing the image. So even if that is true canonically, it is a long fucking time. According to the variation story, the little manga branch off, the little separate chapter of the manga we got going on over here, it says until the Smile Dog's patience runs thin. So I don't know what that means, but he's patient as shit if he waits 15 years. I don't know. There's also a lot of speculation that the photo was taken of the devil himself in his dog form. Again, these are all creepypastas and they're not real, but that is kind of fucking weird to think about, that the devil would want to be a dog like that, but also have human teeth. It's a creepypasta, man. Anything can fucking happen. So when talking about the actual original Smile Dog photos, it is the one that I showed in the beginning of the uncanniness, the uncanny Siberian Husky. And then there is another one that is deep fried. I don't know how else to say it. That's just a couple years ago, my favorite type of memes were deep fried memes. And that is fucking deep fried. I tried to do a little bit of research as to where these images came from, and I got an answer for the deep fried, but not really the original. There's actually a fantastic video that details exactly how they came up with the deep fried Smile Dog image. It's on YouTube. I'm going to link it down in the description below, by a guy named Adrian Ghastly, and I think he did a fantastic job breaking down exactly how they went ahead and photoshopped this. Basically, without getting too much into details, I'm going to let Adrian handle that. They took a picture of the Husky meme from 2010. You guys, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but I remember this fucking picture. So they took that image and then they photoshopped the smile onto him, and then they clipped his ears and they morphed his face, and they literally took the dog and they extracted him. They did the whole thing where you can cut him out, and they put him in front of like a red curtain, and then they deep fried the shit. That's basically the origin of the deep fried meme. Now the original one, on the other hand, I don't fucking know. That literally just looks like a picture of a husky, and they kind of just photoshopped a mouth onto it. That's literally what it is. But I can't find the original image. I've been looking for a long time, like for like longer than I've been doing research for this video. Like a long time. I was like, what's the origin of this? I can't find it. It must be like just a personal photo that somebody edited and only threw the edited version onto the internet. That's my biggest suggestion or biggest theory so far, is that somebody just took the picture of a husky that he had and then just put a smile onto it, and that's it. So yeah, there's nothing crazy on here. Also, fun fact, and also ties into the story really, really well. The photos are older than the creepypasta, because the photos first made it onto a discussion board on 4chan, like the story says, in 2008. It was first seen there in 2008, and then the story was written 2 years later in 2010. And that really ties into like the realism of the story, and I really like that a lot. I don't know if that was done intentional, probably not, because this dude uses Usenet as a word, but I just thought it was cool. I thought that was really cool. Oh, actually, the images were posted on X Paranormal, so exactly what is said in the story is exactly what happened in real life. So that's crazy. That's cool. That's a cool little piece of Zooey Mama, or Eureka, as they say in California, I think. Don't look that up. So like I said, the entire story is kind of shrouded in mystery. There isn't much known about the Smile Dog outside of the story, because like I said, it was written anonymously. And Adrian Ghastly made this video 1 year ago, right? The one that talks about the original photos of Smile Dog. And even when he was writing this YouTube video 1 year ago, it was still anonymous. Like, no one knew who wrote it. And only today, when I checked it for the first time in years, they finally have a dude named Michael Lutz, who was as the person that wrote Smile Dog. So finally, after, what was that, 13 years, we have someone that we can put a name to who wrote Smile Dog. But unfortunately, it's been 13 years, and there's nothing really canonically happening with Smile Dog. So yeah, that's just the end of Smile Dog. That's basically all you need to know about Smile Dog right there. So yeah, that's it. That's all I can explain about Smile Dog, because that's all there is about Smile Dog. It's a very small creepypasta, but it is literally a legend in the scene. I remember when Smile Dog, Jeff the Killer, Slenderman, those are all like around the same era of creepypastas like blowing up. So Smile Dog is like one of the original. I think it's older than the Russian sleep experiment. Let me check. Yeah. July 8th, 2012. This is old. This Smile Dog is older than the Russian sleep experiment. That's what I thought, because I remember when the Russian sleep experiment came out, and it really propelled creepypastas to a level that it has never been to before. And I remember the originals were Smile Dog, Slenderman, Jeff the Killer. There was another one. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Smile Dog is one of the OGs. It is one of the oldest and greatest internet scary stories of all time. You have to give the respect where it's due, and yeah, unfortunately, there isn't much more I can tell you about it, because it is just so old and there isn't much known about it. So there you have it. There is the entirety of Smile Dog. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my narration. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. Do you want me to continue talking about creepypastas? I could talk for days about creepypasta. You have no fucking idea what's in my head right now. If you want me to talk about anything about creepypastas, horror, internet mysteries, real life mysteries, rabbit holes, true crime, anything like that, please leave it in the comment section below. I will give it a read, and we will talk about it, because I love researching it. And if it's really, really good, I'll make an entire video like I did for this. I did this because I love creepypastas, and I haven't talked about Smile Dog in a very long time, or even thought about it, to be honest. So Thank you guys all so much for your love and support on this platform. Thank you all so much for your love and support on TikTok and on Instagram and all that. If you want to follow me on my socials, the links are down in the description below. Also, don't forget about Eco Defense Group and their donation link down in the description below as well. And I will see you guys very, very soon with a brand new video. Until then, take it easy. Bye.